All I wanna do is see you turn into a giant woman, a giant woman. All I wanna be is someone who gets to see a giant woman.
Welcome back to Anonymators review. Today we're reviewing
Steven Universe.
Steven Universe, a show I really like. It's like has a lot of my favorite things.
All mushed up into one.
Almost, yeah. And I don't know. I love everything about this show. I love the character designs. I love the story. I love the universe that it seems to be set in. The storytelling is amazing. The history that's there, that the characters are like sort of all interact around, but they haven't felt like the need to explain it to us just yet. Like it's coming, you know. So we're going to talk about season 1 of Steven Universe. Obviously, there will be spoilers involved in this discussion, but we're going to maybe talk about each episode a little bit individually. But there's like 26 episodes, so it'll take a while really to break through.
And they're all really short and pretty simple.
Yeah.
A lot of them was just like, this episode was fun.
Yeah.
The end.
But for the most part, we will really, I just want to talk about my feelings for the show, which if I haven't already conveyed them. So the story is around Steven Universe and the Crystal Gems.
Yes.
Steven is the son of an ex-Crystal Gem who, when giving birth to him, she had to give up her essence of being and her gem to Steven so he could live. I guess form or whatever. And
she, like, there's a mention of she gave up her physical form or something.
Yeah. Which,
for a while, confused me, because I was like, okay, so does that mean she exists in some other plane?
She exists in him.
Okay.
As what has been established in in season 2.
Alright. I didn't really catch on, because I kind of came in mid-season, maybe, and my landlady is walking upstairs, and it's distracting. But I didn't get into it until a little bit later than everyone else. Like, if I may be completely honest, when the pilot came out, which I still haven't seen, and I really need to, when the pilot came out, like, everyone was gushing about it, and everyone was super excited for the show, and I was just like, I guess it looks fun, but it was too Sailor Moon-y to me, and I never got into Sailor Moon. Believe me, I tried, I couldn't do it. I watched episodes as a kid, and I'm like, this is really boring. No
Sailor Moon wasn't a big thing for me either, not because I never wanted to watch it or was not interested. I never saw it on TV at that age when you're supposed to, I guess, watch it. And when I got into anime a little bit later, I guess, then I watched stuff like Robotech, which I believe is, we called it Robotech. I think it's called Macross. But from what I understand, Macross and Robotech, it's Robotech is just Macross cut up and then dubbed into English. It's a whole different story, but it's the same sequences. I haven't actually watched Macross yet, because, come on, geez, with like 50 new seasons of anime every year, how do you expect me to keep up? Yeah. But so I never really got into Sailor Moon much either.
No offense to people who like it.
Yeah.
I can totally see the appeal. It just wasn't appealing to me. That's all. I couldn't get into it.
That's because you're not a banana.
What?
Anyway, continue.
Now I'm confused.
You said it wasn't appealing to you?
Oh, God. Wesley!
No. Ow. Tumblr, help me. It's spousal abuse.
Anyway, yeah, like I didn't really get into it. Even the first couple of episodes into Steven Universe, I was still kind of like meh about it. I mean, it was fun. I don't recall really when it was that it really clicked for me, when I said to myself, wow, this is actually a really good show. I really look forward to the next episode. I don't remember when that was, but I do remember my feelings on it were kind of meh, and now I'm actually really excited that this show exists, and I actually look forward to the episodes.
Well, my sort of thing with Steven Universe was I started watching it, but I am a mass consumer when it comes to media. I am one of those people that were there at the forefront of binge watching. Like, I can't sit and wait for an episode next week. It happens in some shows, but I get annoyed because it's like I want to watch it now. The last time I did that before sort of more recent shows was with Heroes, where I was like, season 1 especially, I was like so excited for the next week to come so we could watch the next episode. And that drives me crazy. I want to have everything in one clump, and I want to spend 14 hours, just sit there and watch it, and I'm done. You know, and then I can get on with my life and do other stuff. I don't want to sit and think about it anymore. I've watched it, I've enjoyed it. And so that's what I was doing with Steven Universe in the beginning. I was watching it weekly, and I was like, no, I'm just going to wait for the season to finish, because I'm interested in this, but I don't have time to worry about this.
Yeah.
So by the time season 1 came out, then we binged watched it more recently. And I loved it. I did. I love I love space stuff. I'm big into space.
Your favorite porn is space porn.
Space porn, you know, just a bunch of nebulas exploding and black holes doing their thing and just freaking me the heck out.
That is so hot.
So, anyway, I'm blushing.
Yes.
But seriously though, with Steven Universe, it doesn't seem like a space story in the beginning, right?
Yeah.
It's these 3 girls, Garnet, Amethyst, and Pearl. Amethyst being my favorite.
My favorite is Pearl.
And I can see a lot of Pearl in you.
I know, right? She is me as a gem.
And so it's these 3 gems, and they're very they love Steven. You know, they're looking after him. They're training him, I guess, to be a gem as well. And it's all very. It's just him being a goofball. You know, like he plays his ukulele and he sings silly bad songs and
he wears.
He overeats like fast food, and he's a chubby little kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a like the way that. Give me a moment.
No, I'm fine.
Okay. The way a friend of mine described it, he said that this friend of mine said the reason I really like this show is because Steven is a genuine child. It's like they followed an actual kid around and just wrote lines after him.
Yeah.
You know, that's how he felt about it, and I can kind of see that, like, where he's just this really... Because I remember being a little bit like that when I was maybe 12. Just this really eccentric, weird child.
Yeah, you're hyperactive. You want to do things. Like, I mean, I remember also, like, in my early teens where I'd grab a video camera and I'd go and record stupid stuff. But I'd have fun with it because it was, hey, we're just having fun. There's definitely that innocence within Steven I can see him. He's a kid. He's having fun, you know. Because a lot of shows when they have a kid, he kind of like with Greg from Over the Garden Wall. Greg was to me too annoying. Like there's just that point where it's like, oh, you're maybe it's me just getting older. But when he did stupid stuff, I would get frustrated. But when Steven does stupid stuff, I'm like, oh, haha, he's just being a kid.
Yeah.
Like, there's the difference, you know, like, and that's the stupid side of the kid. Whereas you get some kids who are like Steven's age in these cartoons, but they act like they're 25, you know, or like they act like young adults, and they think like young adults. And Steven doesn't think like that. He's like, oh, my solution to your problem is a birthday party, you know, and that's charming to me because it's like, I, as a kid, would have thought a solution to my problem would have been a birthday party. I would have loved some cake and a piñata, and we just sit there and eat candy and we talk and we're having fun because that's the fun part.
You had piñatas in South
No,
Africa?
not really. But my point is...
We have to get you a piñata!
I've had a piñata. I think we've had this discussion before, or I'm having the strangest sense of deja vu.
I think we did, but...
But, yes, my piñatas are just super expensive back home.
We should go back to my home state.
To New Mexico.
And get you a piñata.
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 A piñata. With that
Anyway.
weird squiggly on the end.
It's called an enye.
An enye?
And the little squiggly line is called the tilde.
Yeah, well, the squiggly line on top of the N.
Yeah, that's a tilde. And the actual letter of the N with the squiggly line is an enye.
Okay. Well, the more you know. Knowledge star. Rainbow Star, whatever it was.
Rainbow Star.
Yeah, so... Yeah, as far as the characters go, Okay, so a quick breakdown of everybody. Steven, main character, little chubby kid, likes to have adventures. He has his gem in his belly.
Mm-hmm.
He is learning what it is to be a crystal gem. You know, he goes on little adventures with the other crystal gems, often quite perilous adventures.
There's definitely a coming-of-age story, but with weird monster creatures.
Yeah, oh yeah. And then you got Garnet, who is, I guess, the leader of the team. She's definitely the most powerful.
I don't know that there's a leader per se, but she's definitely...
They definitely look up to her the most. Like, everybody sort of looks to her for leadership.
That's true. Yeah, because she's very stoic. She doesn't let emotions control her and her decisions.
I think there's, like, only one time in the show, really, that, like, she's angry.
Yeah.
And Steven knocks her glasses off because he's trying to help, I think, lapis lazuli. Or how do they pronounce it in the show?
I don't know.
They pronounce it, like, in a weird way, like lapis lazuli, or... It's like, I'm like, no... It's not how you say that word. Or at least I could be wrong, maybe. I don't know. I've always thought it was lapis lazuli. Anyway. Don't worry. But anyway, so we can... we have Garnet, tall, actually has an afro. I guess she's black, but I mean, the gems aren't really colors of people. I mean, like, amethyst is purple, and pearl is pearl. Like, I guess, you know. Anyway, so... Garnet, tall. She reminds me of like a London female, like a black London female.
Oh really?
Yeah, that's, I don't know, when I see her, like, that's the picture I get of her.
I'm not familiar with.
She uses fists, I guess. So that's her primary weapon. Yeah, as you said, she's very stoic, very you know, like, she has plans. She's got like that third eye thing going, I guess, which is why she can react so quickly and so well.
Mm-hmm.
And then we've got Pearl, who is, I guess, a ballerina swordsman. Very
neurotic.
Yeah, very slender, very sort of OCD-ish, you know, like, things have to be pretty. She doesn't, like, the gems, for example, don't have to eat. But Amethyst, who is like a slob, loves to eat because she just loves the feeling of the food going through her, whereas it completely grosses Pearl out.
Which is revealed in season 2, I think.
Oh, I thought it was... No, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
So season... and then Amethyst, who's and then Pearl's weapon is like she does do swords, but I think she uses a spear as her main weapon. And then Amethyst uses a whip, and she's more rambunctious, she's outgoing, you know, like her and Steven, they get into the most trouble.
Yeah.
Whereas, and that's also what I love, is like Steven's interaction with each of the characters. Like, they all love him like a brother, like this little brother, and they, you know, and he looks up to them like these older sisters, and he wants to be like them. You know, he wants to be strong like Garnet. Excuse me. He wants to be strong like Garnet. He wants, you know, he's always looking up to him, being like, "Oh, you're the best. Tell me the amazing adventures you have." You know, then he looks to Pearl for like guidance and like, you know, sort of
wisdom and...
Yeah, I mean, again, it's not to say that Garnet isn't wise, but she doesn't talk very much.
She's very point blank. She's very, like, one sentence, it's out.
Yeah.
But it's maybe, like, 4 words.
Yeah, but Pearl is a lot more willing to share her knowledge and train Steven. But she's so... He's like, "Oh, you're an amazing sword fighter, and you're so precise, and I want to be just like you," type thing. And Amethyst, she's like she's like that fun uncle, I guess, you know. He's the one who brings the toys that make the noise and just to harass your parents.
The party animal.
Yeah, and she goes out and she loves to wrestle and just have goofy fun, and like the two of them will get up into the most trouble and be the naughtiest.
Like Tiger Millionaire is a good one where they get in
Yeah. Tiger Millionaire, like, yeah, and Steven, I mean, I just love how creative they make Steven, but like in that childish way.
Yeah.
You know, because I also remember as a kid, like, I came up with a lot more interesting out of these world stories, whereas nowadays I feel so bad because I'm like, I want to create something crazy and different, but I can't think of anything.
Oh yeah.
You know, it's just horrible. Growing up sucks. Anyways, so which Steven shows in one episode where he accidentally grows up.
Too Many Birthdays.
Yeah.
Which was a huge tearjerker for people. Like, I was watching it, I was like trying really hard not to cry at the end. I was just like, "Oh, Steven, why?"
Yeah, so that, and then there's Steven's dad.
Yeah.
And then there's Rose, I suppose, which is Steven's mom, which you never obviously meet her, but you find out a lot about her, like how even the other gems, looked up to her, which is probably a lot of the reason why they really want to look after Steven, is because they want to look after Rose's kid.
Yeah.
Or whatever is left of Rose in Steven.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, you find out so much about her, how patient she was, how she loved animals and nature.
She saw the beauty in everything, even things that the other gems would find grotesque.
Yeah, and Steven has that.
Mm-hmm.
Steven's definitely, like, he looks up to his mom, but he doesn't know... he looks up to his mom the way that the gems have explained it to him, but there's still that element of him, like, where he wants to help things. He's like, he wants to help his friends. Like, even though all the other people inside Beach City are, like, kind of mean to him or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
like, they're sarcastic, and he's like, whatever, you guys are my friends, I guess that's what we do to each other.
I don't feel like Steven looks up to his mom, per se. I feel like it's more of a misplaced admiration, because he never...
Well, he definitely wants to live up to her name.
Yeah, like, I think what he's... I think they portray this pretty well in the show, where he doesn't really know... Like, the only thing he knows about his mom are what people have told him. And he doesn't really know how he should feel about it. Like, in that one episode where... I can't remember what the name of it was off the top of my head, but it was the one where Amethyst gets her gem cracked. And they know that Rose Quartz had healing tears, so they go back to the shrine, this, like, statue of Rose that cries, and they try really hard to get Steven to cry, and one of the ways that he tries to do it is to think about his mom, but since he never knew his mom, he can't feel sad about her death, because he never knew her. And I think that was a really interesting point to me. I can't really relate to it because I've never lost a parent like that, or I guess it would be kind of like, the way that I would feel about my grandfather Eugene on my dad's side. Like, he died before I ever got to know him, and it's not that my family talks about him as this great, amazing person. If anything, they kind of distance themselves from him, or it's like, he was human, kind of a drunk. But, like, it's like, I don't know how to feel about him because I never knew him. Like, he died before... That's the only way I can relate to it, unfortunately. And it's not even a very good relation to it. But I thought that was a really interesting... For me, that was interesting writing. To have Steven, like, everyone talks about how great you were, but I don't know how to feel about you because I never knew you. And, I don't know, that's just one of those little emotional things in the show that I always appreciate. Where it's, after all the silliness is said and done, that these are still people, for all intents and purposes. Even the gems are still people in the end.
Well, yeah, I mean, okay, yeah, that's for sure. They definitely still make mistakes. And, I mean, for example, like Amethyst and Pearl's sort of aggressive relationship towards each other, but the moment they have to protect Steven, they, like, work it in this amazing unison.
As seen in A Giant Woman with the cutest little song that Steven sings.
That'll most likely be the intro song. Or the outro. We'll see. Yeah, so yeah, we got these characters, and there's Steven's dad, who is I guess he wanted to be a musician, didn't quite make it. Also, it's like, I don't even know how to describe this music, because it's like all this electronica music that I don't know exactly what era it's supposed to really represent, because, like, that's never been popular, really.
Well, that's why he's a failed musician.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's like, I mean, throughout the show, there's like this electronic, like, electronic drums, like this, or and it's always got like these weird 80s, because, like, I mean, that right now that's kind of a popular thing, sort of that 80s soundtrack, especially movie soundtrack, like like electronic keyboards and guitars, it's like that type of, like, sound effects to it. But it's bad even further because it's like he doesn't sing to key. He's got, like, weird rhythms. It's odd. But I like it. I do like the dad wanted to be a musician, failed, is now a car wash guy.
Yeah.
Also loves his son, wants to do whatever he can for his son.
I feel like also Steven's dad, his name's Greg, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Like, I think the thing I get from Steven's dad is that he never really, like, he doesn't know how to go about being a dad, which is probably why Steven lives with the gems as opposed to Greg, because Greg is a child in a grown man's body.
Yeah, he represents that for sure.
Like, he's just barely he's just barely hanging on to what it means to be an adult, which is to run his own business, and he lives in his van. He doesn't really strike me as a responsible adult type. But to me, that makes it more interesting for Steven, and it makes more sense for why Steven would live with the Gems as opposed to his dad. And I love Greg because he genuinely tries. He just doesn't know how. That's the thing about Greg, is that he knows that, okay, this is my son and I've got to take care of him. I just don't know how to go about doing it, and the fact that Rose is gone probably doesn't help.
Yeah. And I'm sure we'll probably find out more about that relationship as we go.
Mm-hmm.
Because it seems like she loved him.
Mm-hmm.
Like Rose loved Greg. But there's also this part of me that's not 100% sure if that was the case. You know? Just every now and then it kind of feels like, not that she was using him, but like that she was just fascinated with him being human. Maybe. I don't know.
It's hard to say, really, because, you know, given what we know about Steven's mom now, even into season 2, we're not really quite sure. Like, as far as we know in season 1, she's basically the perfect gem.
Yeah.
The way that they put her up on this pedestal,
but that's how it is, though. When somebody's died, they're no longer there to make those mistakes. So a good example is like Columbus or whoever. You know, like he's not there anymore to be this jerk. What we're remembering is this guy who founded America. And all of a sudden we're like, oh, now we're finding more information about it and we're trying to, you know, but the information from before was like, oh, if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't have done these things.
Actually, you know who another person is really great, to use an example, is Abraham Lincoln. When he was alive, everybody hated him. When he died, suddenly he was the greatest hero.
I was going to use Edison as an example too. I mean, I remember growing up, like, everybody was thinking Edison's the best. But now, because of the more recent information of Tesla, how he treated Tesla and what Tesla actually did for us was what we assumed Edison did for us, you know? It's like now, and when you look back on it, and like then people are now like, oh, we're finding accounts of what a jerk he was. But beforehand, he was this guy who was like, I'm going to change the world and make it a better place for everybody.
Yeah.
I'm going to electrocute this elephant. Ha 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 ha. Everyone's like, okay, I guess that's okay.
But yeah, that's kind of how I feel like Rose is, that we don't really have all the information about.
I would like to see them making her a bit more fallible. Like if like say for example Steven travels back in time or something and meets her, and she's not as perfect as we've been led to believe. Like maybe she gets easily angered or, something that just sort of like makes her more human. You're like, oh. You know, she's not, because I mean, even we think she's this amazing, perfect being.
Yeah. It's really hard to say. I definitely do feel Pearl, especially, I feel like has the most trouble adjusting to her being gone. You ever notice that, where like it was the episode where Amethyst cracks her gem, and like Pearl is basically having this anxiety attack. It was like, oh, when if Rose Quartz was here, then this and that, and everything would be okay, and that kind of thing.
Do you think maybe also because, I mean, it's been announced that Pearl watches Steven when he sleeps?
Oh, yeah.
You don't think there's maybe some sort of, like, psycho obsession?
I think Pearl is the overprotective mother of Steven, where she, like Greg, doesn't know how to be a parent, but she does it in the opposite extreme that Greg does, where Greg is a little bit too laid back, and Pearl is a little bit too... Overbearing, exactly. That's how I feel. Yeah. I don't know. I could be wrong. It's still early into season 2 as we record this, so let's...
Well, it just brings me back to my point, is I just love the interactions with Steven and everybody else. You know? And then there's obviously relationships between everybody. Like, everybody has an interaction, but it's always around Steven, because obviously the show's called Steven Universe. It's his sort of witness, but he also, like, like that the people who work at the donut store, You know, how that one girl has obviously affections for the guy.
Yeah.
And he's always mistreating her, I guess, in that regard.
Mm-hmm.
And you sort of cringe at that.
Yeah.
You know, you're like, oh. But Steven is still oblivious to it because he's still so young. You know, and like, even though he might be oblivious to the adult situations, if you will, he's not oblivious to the enjoyment of being a human being, which the gems are. The gems, even though they've been around a lot longer than he has, and they've been on the planet a lot longer, they don't understand still a lot of human culture, like birthdays, for example.
Yeah. That was, as sad as that episode was, that was one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Should we talk about our favorite episodes then?
Sure.
Let me pull them up.
Okay, well, I mean, so basically, I mean, we can probably just go through a little bit of each episode, maybe give it a bit of a synopsis, but some of my favorite episodes, pretty much anything with Lion in it. I think Lion is probably, outside of the gems, my favorite character. It's just because I just love his design, and then every episode he's in is like some sort of weird like pop, and the show's full of pop culture references, like in the crazy. But otherwise, I could probably pinpoint a couple of episodes that I really like. Okay, now that being said, I haven't seen the pilot either. I don't think.
I need to. We should probably watch that at some point. Just because some people complain about because the gems were redesigned from the pilot to the actual show. Some people think that the pilot designs were better, especially Pearl's. I kind of disagree. I don't know.
I haven't seen the early design, so I don't remember. I do, but I don't. Because I remember the same thing happened with Bee and Puppy Cat.
Oh, yeah.
Where people were like, "Oh, that new design is horrible," and I didn't notice anything until I actually sat and like compared the notes, and even then I was like, "It's not bad. What is? Why are people being, so aggressive about some of this stuff?"
Let's see if I can early design. There we go.
Okay, so yeah, we're busy hooking up the pilot right now.
I'm just looking for early designs.
Oh, sorry, early designs.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, I'm not used to.
Dead air is the best air. Yeah, people love it when we're not saying anything for a little while.
Sorry. Okay, here we go.
I remember. I do remember that design for Pearl. Okay, so sorry for the coughing. This is one of the best episodes ever. Okay, so if you have Google near you, which I guess you should if you're listening to this on YouTube, I said we just googled early Steven Universe designs.
I specifically said
you could just probably type in Steven Universe pilot, but I'll maybe if I remember I'll put a link in the about. But yeah, so Garnet for the most part seems the same. She just doesn't have her afro, which I think is for better design. Here she seems a lot too. There's like nothing there.
Amethyst is really cute though. I like the little...
Amethyst hasn't changed that much.
Yeah.
Her hair's not as crazy, but generally she's the same.
Mm-hmm.
She's definitely that 70s, 80s girl.
Pearl was the, at least from my standpoint, the thing that people made the biggest stink about because of the hair.
She's got that... I don't like that hairstyle. I am so picky when it comes to hairstyles too. Not only in character designs, but in real thing. It's like this weird side-shaved mullet thing people are doing nowadays. Mm-hmm. Like that's what this her hairstyle is designed on.
Which, considering her personality, I don't think really...
She wouldn't have done. She definitely would have gone more like how she is designed now. But I don't like that hairstyle. I don't get it. Mm-hmm. I've never gotten hairstyles. Like even as a kid, I was like, I either want long hair or short hair. Like those are the only two things that make sense to me. Because short hair was easy to maintain, and long hair, I guess I'm just a kid who loves 90s grunge, so that's the style I chose.
I like your long hair.
Yeah, but my point is, it's like hairstyles. Like I don't get the mullet because that's ugly. It's ugly looking. How was that ever a thing? It's not nice looking.
It's punk and it's rebellious. And
I think it was more hillbilly rock or something, but it looked ugly. And the same thing with like some new hair.
Oh wait, the mullet. I'm thinking of the mohawk.
The mohawk was punk. But and even that, like I think that it was such a like what the heck. you have to go through, I don't know, anytime you have to put like more than 10 minutes brushing your hair, I'm like, well, that's a waste of hair time. You know, like I'm excluding.
That's why I cut my hair, actually.
Yeah, you know, and the thing that I dislike more, I think, even in this weird, because it's like long hair in the middle, right? But the sides are shaved, and then the long hair sort of sometimes gets gelled, or sometimes just gets to the side. You know what? Power to you if that's what you want to wear. Good for you. Just know that in 20 years' time, you're going to look at photographs of at yourself and be like, what the fuck? I'm going to look at photographs of myself 20 years from now and be like, oh, at least I had hair I freaking liked. Maybe you like it now. I'm being too judgmental, I guess.
I think we're still in season 1, actually, because there's no season 2 on this thing.
That's fine. We're only going through it.
We'll only go up to the I guess the midway season finale.
Yeah.
Which is apparently a thing people are doing now.
Well, that's fun. I mean, I don't think seasons are a thing that need to be done anymore because we don't work that way, especially in new media.
Oh, okay. So we've got the mirror. We'll just basically talk up to the Mirror Gem and the Ocean Gem episodes.
Anyway, stop wearing stupid hairstyles. Get off my lawn. Pull up your pants and stop listening to the hip hop, the hippity hop. Damn kids and your iPods.
You're rocking, you're rolling, and you're
bipping and you're hopping.
Bipping and you're bopping. And okay, anyway.
So first episode, Gem Glow. What happens in this? I don't remember.
It was the Cookie Cat.
Oh, Cookie Cats. He's from outer space. Oh, that was a cool song.
He left his family behind.
Like, yeah, a lot of that was definitely, Cookie Cat definitely got me in. But that was just an episode to sort of introduce the characters.
That was actually one of the episodes that was like, it was cute, but I wasn't in love with the show at that point. It was a silly thing that kids do. They remember these silly little jingles and they like these silly little treats.
Yeah.
But it was sort of an introduction to the characters. I think it did pretty well for what it set out to do. The next one was Laser Light Cannon, where you talk more about Rose Quartz and her weapon, which was apparently a giant frickin' cannon that could still be operated by Steven.
Yeah. This is I think the episode where they was there a monster in the first episode? I don't remember.
Yes, there was. There was the centibeetle or something. It was the thing with the eye.
Oh, in its mouth. Yeah, which Stephen later sort of adopts as a pet for a little while.
Which was adorable.
Yeah. And that's actually where I started noticing that sort of what I thought those monsters were, which turned out my theory was true.
Yeah, you said it, and like the next scene was...
Yeah, it was like, well, again, I'm assuming you've watched this, so this is a big spoiler.
So if you haven't seen, what was it?
The end of season 1, at least. Mirror
Gem and Ocean Gem, go watch that first, and then,
Okay, so, as you probably know then, the monsters turned out to be corrupted crystal gems.
Yes.
And after the episode with where, like, that little centipedal, like, got let out, there's a little sequence where you sort of see a human form, like, or humanoid form, and then it turns into the centipedal. And so that got me thinking, like, oh, maybe that's a thing. So I was thinking about it, and then I think we watched like 2 more episodes, and I turned to Emily, and I'm like, oh, I have a feeling that, like, the monsters are like corrupted gems or something like that. And then one scene later, it's like, oh yeah, the monsters are corrupted gems. I mean, this is hardly really a big spoiler, because, I mean, it's not like they really try to hide it or anything, they're just fighting monsters. But, yeah, it was one of those things. Which I think is an amazing twist, because that also makes me wonder then why these 3 gems have managed to survive this far. And also why Lapis Lazuli is so, like, angry at them and then you find out towards the season that they're actually from space, and there were like these wars, and like Pearl tries to teach Steven the history of the gems,
which doesn't he get like super bored of really quickly?
Well, no, like she wanted to. Maybe, yeah, like he loses interest, but then she gives him the mirror, and that's where Lapis Lazuli comes out of.
Oh, that's right. Like she wants to tell him about their history, but the mirror is broken.
Yeah, and that also makes me question it. Like, why did they act like the mirror was a thing, but they then towards the end of the episode knew it was Lapis Lazuli? I'm going to say Lapis Lazuli. If I'm wrong, I apologize, but I'm telling you that's how you pronounce that word.
Like how you pronounce aluminium.
Yes, because that's how you pronounce the word.
It's aluminum.
No.
We often pick on each other for our accents. This is normal, don't worry.
Yeah. Cheeseburger Backpack was a good episode
Cheeseburger Backpack was really like,
because this show couldn't get any more toyetic. Like I would totally buy figurines of these characters.
I would buy a cheeseburger backpack.
And I think the cheeseburger backpack does exist now.
Yes.
So and that was awesome. Just Steven being a universe. A couple of episodes go on. I mean, it's really just sort of Steven
they're really
solving a puzzle.
They're really episodic, and for the most part, it's like the same formula where Steven does a thing, and then monster happens, and something. The monster is tied into the crystal gems. Cat Fingers was, I think, the first. That was
a weird episode.
Yeah, Frybo, I think, was the first time that everyone was like, "Wow, this show got deep fast." Because it was that one kid who was in the Frybo outfit, and he's talking about like, Steven, I don't understand. Like you grow up and you get a job and you have to support yourself, and Steven's just like, "What?"
Yeah, it's like this other 12-year-old or however old Steven's supposed to be.
Yeah.
And he's being like all adult because he's being forced into a job that he doesn't want to be in, being the Frybo mascot.
Yeah.
Cat Fingers got weird because Steven figures out his shape-shifting skills and he starts making his fingers into like cats, and then they start taking over his body, and then he turns into this giant orgy of cat things and his dad like gets freaked out because like, what's going on with my son? Because he's, like, not too sure. He doesn't know how... Because every time Steven brings up magic and his mom or whatever, like, his dad's like, whoa, you don't need to talk to me about that.
Yeah.
Talk to the gems.
Yeah, I think Cat Fingers... I think Frybo and Cat Fingers was kind of when I started getting hooked onto the show, where I started, like, wow,
You clawed onto it?
Punch. No puns.
No.
I'm kidding. There's so many puns in this house, you don't even know. Bubble Buddies! Oh, this was really cute.
Steven's girlfriend.
Because Steven gets a girl... Well, it's not really an official girlfriend, but it's definitely a girl that he is revealed to be interested in. But he does it in this, like, really childish way where he just... Like, he doesn't say up front, I really like this girl and I have feelings for her. As far as he's concerned, he just really wants to be her friend.
Yeah. But she definitely blushes, like, when he holds her hand or whatever.
Yeah, like, there's sort of, like, that hinting where they know that they have feelings, but they're not really sure how to go about it. I think Connie's a little bit more like, okay, I have feelings for Steven, but Steven's just like, I just know that I want to spend time with this girl. Like, it hasn't really quite clicked for him yet.
Yeah, the seriousness of his... And again, that's childish in a good way, where I'm not, like, put off. It's not like in anime, for example, like a lot of anime shows, where the girl has feelings for him, and
yeah, senpai.
Yeah, and then but she is like, then the tsundere is like, no, I can't love him because he's a dork or whatever, but I do, and there's none of that nonsense. There's no games. It's just Steven wanting to hang out with somebody he likes, and and she wants to hang out with him too.
Yeah,
it's not like she's also like all coy about it, but she definitely gets like embarrassed.
She's definitely appreciative that Steven wants to hang out with her, and I think that's a huge point for her because she's very awkward and doesn't have any friends and is very quiet, and the fact that Steven has magical abilities, I think it at first kind of freak her out, but as she learns more about it, the more she's interested in it, and tell me more about your magic. Serious Steven was kind of more...
So this is where he tries to impress Scarlet, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like he tries to be a lot more like her, more, like mission focused, like, like serious Steven is the name of the episode. So yeah, it starts showing sort of that relationship between the two of them.
Mm-hmm. And then Tiger Millionaire.
That's more of an Amethyst and Steven episode.
That's a fun one though.
Yeah, because it's also that's one of those episodes where Amethyst is like being a goofball and Pearl is like berating her about it, and so she goes and becomes a wrestler at night.
And now there were
nobody to tell her what to do,
and there were a lot of fanon theories that Amethyst is a trans person because she's a male in that one, but I don't really feel that
that's pulling, I believe. That's just like that's people trying to put something where it doesn't really exist.
Because like Amethyst can take a shape into anything that she wants. So
yeah, no, that's definitely that's people like Yeah, no, that I don't see that at all. It was on the surface level, it's Amethyst, and she's trying to be her, like, she's just trying to have fun. She doesn't want anybody telling her what to do. No, there's no way that's a trans thing.
Yeah, but I'd imagine she enjoys being the male wrestler. She just enjoys also.
But I don't think she sees it as a male and a female thing.
Yeah,
I don't even think the gems understand what male and female is.
You know, I was actually wondering too, because so far all of the gems that we've met are all, like, from human standpoint, female. So that always kind of makes me wonder, are the crystal gems solely female? So that would make Steven sort of the exception because he's half human. I wonder, but I guess as the seasons go on, we'll start to...
I think we will find out. It has definitely been established that the gems are female. Even the little centipedal, its form was a female humanoid.
Yeah.
I think maybe, we'll have to see where they want to go with that. But I don't, like, I mean, even when Steven asked in the later episode for them to be his mom, like, and for them to be the wife of, when they had to form another giant woman, like, they didn't understand the concept. It was never something explained to them, or it's like not part of their culture or whatever. Yeah, no, I don't think male and female is a thing to them.
I'd imagine, well, that's kind of fun, because, if you're going to have this alien race, why have...
Well, they live forever. Like, there's been no need for them to breed or whatever.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, I guess they only really reproduce, quote unquote, when they want to, not because they have to carry on their race or whatever. It's just, oh, okay, I guess, here, next kid.
Yeah.
You have it. I'm done. I'm bored. I'm bored with life.
Yeah.
Peace, outie. Which brings up questions about why Steven's mom decided that she wanted Steven, but...
Well, from the way I've seen, like, I can sort of break it down, she's a lot more empathetic towards other life. Because it does come off, I can't remember if it, but I'm sure it was Pearl. Pearl looks down on the humans. For sure, because we haven't discovered space travel the way they have. It was that episode where they were trying to get into space, and she first, talks down to Greg and Steven because they're not helping her with the spaceship, and there was also the attitude of I don't know. I just felt like it came off like there is sort of this part of them that they're like, oh, we're more powerful than you.
Yeah.
We're doing good because that's what we're here to do, but there's this little bit of superiority complex going on, at least with Pearl.
Yeah, Amethyst, I think, is more so the opposite, where she's just like, hey, wow, look at all you guys and your silly things that you do, like eating.
Yeah.
Ha 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 ha.
Yeah, that's and yeah, she like, and then Garnet is more like, I just have to do the job.
Yeah. Garnet doesn't. Yeah. Garnet's like whatever about everything. Yeah. I love the way the going back to Tiger Millionaire, I love the way that it ended. With, like, because Amethyst is making this passionate plea. She's like, you guys always are putting down everything I want to do. This is finally the thing that I can do without you guys, and you're ruining this for me. And so then Garnet and Pearl do this thing where it's like, they also fake being wrestlers.
Yeah.
I really loved that ending.
Yeah, that was nice of them. That was like a... Because, I mean, they're also really concerned for the humans in the sense that, like Amethyst can hurt the humans. But they don't realize that Amethyst obviously is controlling herself while having fun.
Yeah.
She hasn't been hurting anybody. She's just naturally stronger than everyone.
Yeah. It's just a fun thing that they like to do, and it's a fun thing that her and Steven can bond on, which is really cute. Then Steve's lion, which was probably...
Lion. One of my favorite episodes. One of the 3. So far of the lions. It just pretty much introduces Lion, and that's his name, Lion the Lion.
Strong like lion.
Yeah, strong like lion.
Yes. Anyway, and then Arcade Mania, where you find out that Garnet has the 3 eyes.
Oh yeah, she plays like some sort of weird Guitar Hero meat-based game, or DDR, but it's actually meat that you've got to like cook and shake.
Yeah.
And then Steve tries to beat her, but she's gotten so obsessed with it, like she has to get a perfect score.
I don't think it was necessarily that she had to get a perfect score. It was just that her third eye got focused in on it, and she just couldn't stop herself. And that's how the whole glasses thing, the glasses fall off, and you see the third eye, and everyone.
Like that sort of came off to me like that she's definitely a competitive sort. Which is why, because you find out in the next episode, Giant Woman, that they can merge together, and the first merging is Amethyst and Pearl, right?
Yeah.
But you find out later that any combination can happen, and when Garnet and Amethyst merge together, like that character has the I guess the perfectionism or like need for success from Garnet, and the outgoingness of Amethyst, and put that together. When you like, somebody can be a perfectionist, but they can be quiet. But when you find a perfectionist that's not only a perfectionist and talented perfectionist, but they're very loud about it, they can be a very annoying type of person.
Yeah. Oh boy. Yeah. And then of course Giant Woman also has everyone's favorite song.
Yeah, it's a good song. It's very cute. And it's one of the few songs that actually follow some sort of rhythm.
Yeah. Well, that's Rebecca Sugar I think. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
She likes to write these little ditties. She did a lot for Adventure Time too, so which is why you get a lot of really cute songs from Adventure Time. And then So Many Birthdays, one of my favorite episodes, even though I was almost bawling at the end, because it's where Steven Steven attempts to give birthday parties to the Gems because he gets really, he's just so perplexed. You've lived for so long, and yet you've never had a birthday. We have to fix this. And so he attempts to throw this birthday party for all of them. But, they're not really up on the human culture, so they're just like, I don't understand. Like, especially with Pearl. I love that little scene with Pearl where Steve's trying to tell the joke, but Pearl is just like, she's not understanding it. She's like, why would you do that? Why would you do this? And specifically, Steven tells a joke about her. She's Pearl walks into a bar. It wasn't that, but you get what I'm saying. And then everyone looks at it, and Pearl was like, why would I do that? I didn't do that. Steven, are you lying?
Yeah. Pearl is so, literal. She just doesn't get jokes.
And then, of course, with the pie thing.
Yeah, don't waste the pie. Get it all over the place.
Yeah, and then
he tries to fall in it, but they save him.
Yeah.
And then it's like... And then he still falls in it, and then they freak out.
But then it gets really sad, really quickly, where Steven, decides that, I guess, birthdays are for small children, and I'm getting older, and slowly his gem powers start to make him into more of an adult.
Yeah, he grows as old as he feels inside.
Yeah.
So he's which I think makes me question now further of his powers, and for gems too. Do they grow older depending on how they feel, or is that just because he's a human?
I wonder. I know that's something that I feel will be revealed eventually in the show, but as of right now, we just simply don't have the information. But I did like the part at the very end where he's just this really old man on the verge of dying, and the Gems are trying really hard to throw him a birthday party. And especially with Pearl, where she's dressed up as a clown, and she's just bawling her eyes out, and she's like, oh, look, I've got a pie. It would be a shame if anything happened to it, kersplunkk. And
she's crying because she doesn't want to get hit in the face with a pie.
Oh, it was so sad. Should we pause it? Or?
That's fine.
Okay. Lars and the Cool Kids was probably one of my favorite ones, too. Because that was the one where Lars, the kid with the big gauge rings, tries to get in on this crowd of, one of them is the daughter of the pizza place owner, and then there's the guy Sour Cream. Oh, there was a guy Sour. Anyway, basically it was Lars, and he's attempting to get on these cool kids, and Steven's like, why don't you just talk to them? And... Keep going? Okay. Steven's like, why don't you just talk to them? And, you know, Lars is like, no, it's not that easy. But of course, Steven walks up and, hi, my friend Lars really wants to hang out with you. And then they go to this one, what is it? It's like a lake or something.
It was not. It was like the beach where, and then there was,
it was with the moss.
a fountain, yeah, with the mom's moss that
was,
like they saw early on, that was apparently going out of control.
Yeah, and then of course the kids get covered in this moss, and the only way that Steven knows how to get rid of this moss is to bring it up to this hill, and so all the kids get covered in this moss, and Steven and Lars are the only ones who have not yet completely been taken over by it. So they try they get into the little jeep, the pizza jeep or whatever.
Yeah.
And they drive up to the hill, and they just barely make it, and the sun comes out, and the moss turns into these, was it flowers? Yeah, these flowers, and the kids are all just blown away by it. It was one of my favorite episodes because it was the first time that we ever heard Steven's opinion about his mom, which is, like, you know, according to Lars, she was kind of a freak, and Steven's kind of a freak too. And that gets Steven really upset, because he's like, well, I never got to know my mom. How fair is that?
Yeah.
And I don't know, to me that was something that I had been waiting for, to know what Steven thought about his mom.
Yeah. Well, what I also liked about that episode is, like, the cool kids, quote unquote, they're not cool. Lars just, like, he's definitely put them on this pedestal of coolness.
Yeah.
But they're just normal kids. Like, and then, like, even Steven, who's ridiculously honest, you know? Like, they don't come off as, like, when they're all sitting there, they don't come off as, like greaser punks or whatever. Mm-hmm. I do this, oh, that's cool. And then they go on with it. Okay, so yeah, the next episode is Onion Trade.
This was a weird one.
I don't know, I think it was just sort of to show off more magic stuff. Steven gets an item that can duplicate.
Yeah. And
things.
There's, like, a thing with, like, Steven is trying to find the guy.
Yeah, it's like there's a toy that Steven wants from Collectibles, and they're called Guys.
And
like,
Onion has the one that he wants.
Yeah, because he lost his, like, Ranger guy or something. And then he gets it eventually like, he gets an item from Pearl which can replicate items, but then Onion wants it, and Onion is a weird character.
Yeah.
He's like this little kid who doesn't say anything. His head looks like an onion. But it's like he always seems to know what he's doing. Mm. He kind of seems like a bad guy, but not really. But he still is a kid. I don't know what is up with Onion. I think he's a weird character just thrown in there for, like, let's do some weird stuff with a weird character, you know? Like, where each character sort of has their, like, little role. Like, Lars is the jerk, but, you know, he's kind of kind-hearted. You know, Steven, obviously main character, that girl that Steven likes, Connie, like, she's like that smart one. I mean, when they find out that Steven has curing powers and he fixes her eyesight, but doesn't want to have to explain it to her mom, so she just takes the glasses out and you know, keeps the frames. You know, like, every character has their sort of little thing, but they're still a human being. Onion just seems very otherworldly. Mm-hmm. You know, so it makes me also wonder if he's even humans.
I was about to say.
I wonder if he's even a reference. There was no way there would be a reference, because he reminds me of, like, the little onion characters from the Gantz anime. But that anime was, like, hardcore R18, so I don't see why they'd make a reference to that.
I never saw it, so...
Yeah, don't worry about it. It's got lots of gore in it, so maybe you would like it. Because I like watching gore.
Only a little. Only if there's a reason for it to be.
Oh, well, this one actually does have reason.
See, I'm okay with gore as long as there's
Whatever.
a reason.
I bet you liked Elfen Lied.
Not really.
Don't lie to me. I saw your Elfen Lied collection.
What collection?
I don't know. Just let's talk about Steven the Sword Fighter.
Okay.
Which is episode 16.
Yes. Pearl gets... this is the one where, like, it starts off, they're watching this anime, and it's about sword fighters.
I don't think it's an anime. I think it's like a movie, but it's, like, supposed to be an old Japanese like Bushido movie. You know, like, where it says, yeah. I don't think it's an anime. I just think it's, like, just old kung fu films, but it's about sword fighters. Mm-hmm. And they're like, oh, my brother, I will save you, or whatever. And then Steven gets like, oh, I want to learn to sword fight. So Pearl shows him some amazing sword fighting techniques, but then she wants to show him how to just, you know, he has to start at the basics, and then he gets bored by it. Pearl gets distracted, telling Steven to pay attention, and gets stabbed in the in her pearl, I guess.
No, not in the pearl. She gets...
In her gem.
No, it wasn't in the gem. It was just, like, in...
Oh, yeah, she just gets normal stab. Her body takes a lot of damage.
Yeah, because if she had gotten stabbed in the gem, first of all, her gem is on her forehead.
Yeah, fair enough. Sorry. Yeah.
And
then,
if she had gotten injured on her gem, it would have been a much more serious injury, because you remember when Amethyst cracked her gem.
Yeah.
Anyway, so she gets stabbed in the gem, but now I'm saying it. She gets stabbed in the midsection, and she made a duplicate of herself to, like, but it's like a computer program, kind of, where it's like, you know, parry, thrust, parry, thrust.
Yeah.
Player one has won, would you like to continue, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Where it's like this...
It's a program. It's a training program.
Yeah, so, but...
A little android droid thing that...
But the duplicate remains, but Pearl has to retreat back into her gem so her body can heal, which takes about 2 weeks. And in the meantime, Steven's getting increasingly frustrated with the duplicate, trying to make it Pearl, but it's obviously not Pearl.
Doesn't he use it like he forgets about it, and then he tries to use it to replace Pearl?
Yeah.
And then he's like, no, but you're not Pearl.
Yeah.
He gets like angry with it.
And it's kind of sad.
Mm.
There's also a really interesting part where Pearl does come back, and she momentarily shifts into her old design with the mohawk in front and the...
Oh yeah?
Yeah, if you look for it. And then she also gets a new design, and it's kind of cute with a little bow in the end, and I really like that. Her little skirt, and I like her new design. I like the after she gets stabbed and reincarnates herself.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing to do, like make the characters change a bit after they've regenerated.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you'll notice that she has an outfit before this episode, and then she's got a new outfit throughout the new episodes. They're very subtle changes, but I like them.
No, that's perfect. I mean, you don't need to... You don't have to completely change the character's identity once they die. I mean, who would watch a TV show about that? Maybe there's time travel involved? Whatever.
Okay, next one is The Lion 2, the movie.
This is also one of my favorite ones because of Dogcopter. There's a TV show that Stephen and Connie, or a movie that they want to go watch called Dogcopter. It's a little dog that turns into a helicopter and shoots missiles.
Apparently the book was better.
Apparently the book was better, which that's a great commentary because I've said that so many times, like, well, the book was better. But the thing is, sometimes they are. But I mean, it is funny too, because it doesn't matter, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. You're there, you're watching. Hearing anybody ever say that, like when everybody says to me, like, oh, the book was better, I'm like, oh, shut up, you're annoying. But when I say it, I mean it, you know. But like, you know what I'm saying though.
Yeah.
It's like. It's an annoying thing to hear. It's a stupid thing to hear. Try and enjoy it.
Mm. But this was also like this also sort of frustrated me because they took so long to get to the movie because Lion definitely knows something. I have, I don't know. Maybe the lion was actually Rose's lion or something because it seems like
if anybody would have a lion, it would be Rose.
Yeah. Like it seems like the lion knows stuff that Steven does not.
And that's the thing about Steven and the lion too. Steven also wants Lion to be his like best friend, like a dog, loyal dog or whatever, but Lion's obviously his own being.
Yeah.
And so Steven's like, Lion, if you love me, nod. And Lion just like stares at him, and then like Steven grabs his face and forces him to nod. He's like, yes, Lion loves me.
But it was also, what was it?
I've done that to dogs all the time.
Next dog we're gonna get, I can see it. It's like, do you love me?
We're gonna call him Lion.
No. You can call your dog Lion. I've decided my name. I've decided the name for my dog. Okay. But it was also like when Steve and Connie don't go to the movie right away. They end up at this other place that I think was owned by Rose Quartz too. You remember?
Not off the top of my head.
And it was like, yeah, I can't remember off the top of my head. But basically, they spend a long time not going to the movie because Lion's like, no, you need to find this item, and then they can go to the movie. This is supposed to be your favorite episode. I thought you would know.
I don't remember. I just remember some of the goofy parts.
It doesn't matter. Basically, they go to this place, and it was owned by Rose Quartz. Steven, like, discovers more magic stuff, and then they go to the movie.
Oh yeah, and then Connie's all like, "Oh, you're surrounded by all this cool stuff all the time. Why do you want to go watch Dogcopter?" And Steven says stuff like, "But I want to go watch it because it's fun." And that's like such a nice statement, because sometimes you can get so lost in, I mean, even as adults, like when we look at all the stuff that we're constantly being bombarded with. We're watching new movies every day. We're watching new things on TV.
You're watching new movies every day.
But my point is, like, there's a constant flux of media, so we forget to be impressed by it.
Mm-hmm.
And Steven's still at that point where he's, like, amazed by the stuff that he's seeing, you know, because it's fun. He's having fun with his friends.
Yeah.
And that's such a nice sentiment.
Yes. Anyway, and then the next one, Beach Party, which was a fun episode for me, because this was the one where the gems are like battling this big pufferfish creature, but they accidentally break this one local pizzeria called Fish Stew Pizza, and then the owner's like, "You guys are banned from Fish Stew Pizza," and Steven is really upset about it. He's like, "No, you guys can never come here ever again," and the gems are like, "The where?"
Yeah, they've never even been. And this is where you find out that Pearl doesn't even want to eat.
Yeah. But then, so Steven really wants to try to make up the things between them, so he try to make up the differences between the families. So he makes this beach party, and they play volleyball, and then at the end, they all work together to defeat the pufferfish, which was really cute.
Yeah, and that's when the granny from the Fish Stew Pizza, she was awesome.
She was so great.
Because, I mean, she was all like, "No, man, whatever, these are just people, let's have a good time." And then she was, like, picking on her family and making fun of everybody. I like that.
She was such a cool granny. Yeah, and then the next one was Rose's Room, where this was the surreal one, where Steven wants his own space, so he retreats into his mom's room, old room, and at first it's all great because he gets whatever he wishes for.
Yeah, he imagines he wants a slide, and then the room creates a slide for him, or then he's like, "I want a donut," and he eats the donut, but it turns back into cloud.
And then he's got the little floating pink it was a pink whale or something. But he basically goes further and further into this room, totally surreal, and like everything's really off, and it's like a bad dream until.
No, yeah, you gotta say, like, so he says no, he wants to leave because he's bored of the room, so he wants to go back to Beach City. So a door appears, and he goes out and he leaves, and then like there's nobody in like the room. He must have been there for longer than he thought. He goes out and he starts exploring, and he goes to the donut shop, and two of the people are there, and they're just standing and staring at him, smiling. And they're like, "Hey, Steven, we love you, Steven." And then they sort of just like glide off, and it's like all sort of really, really odd, it's like, what's going on? And I mean, if you're paying attention, obviously he's not in the real world anymore. But you start seeing stuff like, artifacts, like digital artifacts that appear. And just sort of like things are going weird. Characters are like looping their sound files or whatever, and he can't find everybody. Eventually finds his dad, and his dad's the only one who still has like full conversations with him, like actually interacts with him. But he just starts saying things
that don't make sense.
That don't even make sense to the sentence anymore. But it's like, "Oh, like I feel like this. Oh, don't worry, Steven, blah 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 blah." He's like, "Oh, thanks, Dad. That's good advice. But what about this?" And then his dad gives him more advice, but this time the advice doesn't really sync up. And then the third time the advice doesn't make any sense at all. And then the dad starts looping and also starts digital artifacting, and it's like it gets really, really weird. Steven freaks out. How does he escape again?
I think it has something to do with he wishes he could be back with the gems or something.
Oh yeah, because I mean, like he starts noticing the water on the beach is like looping in a really weird.
Connie's on the beach too, and like she doesn't have eyes or something.
Yeah, she's blank-eyed. And so then you find out now that Rose's room had actually recreated the entire beach city, so obviously it turns out that her room, or the rooms of the gems, I guess, are like these computer-generated holodecks or something. And so when the room tried to create Beach City for Steven, it was way too big for the room to manage. I mean, that's like a lot of, I guess, computing power. And it just freaked the heck out, and all the characters, and like, you know, it obviously doesn't create in that level. Oh yeah, Steven realized he was in the simulation when he tried to eat one of the donuts that he bought.
Yeah.
And when he tried to bite the donut, it just disappeared. And he was like, "Oh right, I'm in the simulation," and then he managed to escape.
Yes, that was a freaky episode. I enjoyed it, but it was freaky. And then let's see. Oh right. Coach Steven, and this is where Garnet and Amethyst fuse into the mighty Sugalite.
Sugalite, yeah.
Yeah. Voiced by Nicki Minaj.
Oh wow, that's okay. That's interesting. Fun fact: Sugalite was voiced by Nicki Minaj in episode 20 of Steven Universe.
Weird.
Yeah, that's a weird pull.
Which is weird because it didn't really like strike me. Like I remember watching it, but I don't remember exactly. Oh right, they had to get.
Well, he does a gym because he's like, oh, I also want to be super strong and powerful, and then Pearl's like, oh, there's more to power than just blind strength.
Oh right.
And Steven's like, oh, it doesn't matter. I just want to be super powerful. And then he actually watches Pearl fight Sugalite, and she beats her with tactics because of, you know.
Oh, that's right.
Because again, that just shows like Pearl is power. Pearl is tactics. Garnet is like more power, and then Amethyst. I don't even know what you'd really say about Amethyst, really.
Brute strength.
Yeah, Garnet's more brute strength, really. She's the one always punching things like really hardcore, but she's definitely more like trained. Whereas I guess
Amethyst is the type of person to leap before she looks.
Yeah.
Kind of person. You know, she's very much like, you know,
unpredictable.
Shoot now. What's the expression? Like, shoot now, ask questions later. And then it was Joking Victim was the next one, episode 21, where we learn a little bit more about the relationship between Sadie and Lars.
Which are the people that work at the donut shop.
Really sad, because Sadie has such feelings for Lars, but Lars is a little bit of a womanizer.
I wouldn't say he's a womanizer. I think he's just a person who takes advantage of the kindness of others, maybe. Because Lars has feelings for somebody else, it seems. And
is it the girl from the
pizza shop?
Yeah.
And so he's more interested in her. Sadie, like, I don't think Sadie fell in love with Lars, but she really liked Lars because Lars was really nice to her. And then it just, that's what it came off as. But she obviously starts developing feelings for her. And this is such an adult story compared to the rest of everything else, because even though it's with teenagers, Steven's trying to fix a friendship. That's what he's trying to do. Or he's trying to play a prank on Lars, and then Lars eats like some fire pepper or something, whatever, and just like for fire crystals, and he's like burning fire constantly. But or was it that?
No, it was.
Steven ate the crystals, drank the soda. Lars slipped and hurt himself. Sadie took over his position for the day. And then Steven decided to stay there and work, and that's when they found out that the cop guy does R&B. And then, so Lars takes the day off, and then the next day off, I guess he tries to, but yeah, when they try and go and make Lars feel better, he's busy jumping on a trampoline with this other girl, and that completely wrecks Sadie, and then she just wants to hurt Lars back, and then they play a prank on him, and she's very sorry about hurting him. It all becomes like she still remains very human about it, but admits to Lars that like am I only your player too because I was the only one there at the time, because I thought you gave me that nickname because I meant something to you.
Yeah.
And then obviously Lars is like feeling real dickish about it for as long as he can. Lars doesn't seem the type of person to really worry about the long-term action or long-term consequences of his actions against people, especially. He's always treating Steven like junk.
That's true. Yeah, you're right. Lars is definitely one of those people who lives so far in the moment that he forgets what it means for his relationship with people in the long term. And he's very self-absorbed. I feel like he only cares about what he feels and not so much about what other people, even his friends, Sadie is a good example, think. You're right, though. It was a very, in terms of the show, it's very adult themed, in the sense of like this is the kind of thing that is like, I think it's the kind of thing that kids would watch now, but not really understand the full meaning of it until much later in life.
Yeah.
Which, to me, makes a good kid show. It's the kind of thing that you can enjoy as a kid, but not quite get it. But you just, as far as... I can imagine that kids watching it would be more Steven, where this is just a friendship that went completely awry.
Yeah.
I don't know. To me, that makes a good show where you can watch it as a kid and understand it one way, watch it as an adult and understand it completely differently. So, good on ya, writers. Which is apparently Raven M. Molise and Paul Villeco?
I don't know.
Anyway. Steven and the Stevens!
Yeah, Steven finds a time jumping back device that makes duplicates of himself. Like he'll jump back in time and then he'll have his previous self. And this is so silly because like the duplicate time thing is always like a really weird like it always sort of comes to like who's the real character and who's the one that needs to stay. And writers lately have been sort of tweaking that sort of concept. Like there was an episode with
was it Family Guy?
No, it wasn't Family Guy. With Dipper and Mabel.
Oh yeah.
Gravity Falls, like when Dipper like makes duplicates of himself,
mm-hmm.
and they're like, oh, don't worry, we're not going to do the classic trope of betraying you. We understand we're the copies. Don't worry about it. And then Dipper's like, okay, cool. And then he's trying to use, and then eventually the copies do go against him.
Mm-hmm.
This one, it wasn't like the Stevens were like trying to betray the main Steven or the first Steven. It was just that like they also wanted to be Steven, and they just did their thing, and it was Steven interacting with Steven. Like there was never like, oh, all of a sudden one of his clones became evil,
mm-hmm.
because why would it? It was just a past version of himself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
then he makes like so many of himself, like he makes thousands of himself. But he tries to form a band with the first 4.
Yeah.
And then he's like, you're the handsome one, and you're the talented one, and you're the funny one. And then the talented one like says something. He's like, no, that's something the funny one should say. But they're all the same person. Like Steven forgets that it's him.
It was it was funny, but it also ended in that kind of weird, like, I don't know how to feel about this. It's a little sad kind of thing. Monster Buddies, which was when Steven made friends with the Centipedal. Where there was...
where you start noticing...
Yeah, where... And it was Garnet, actually, who said, like... Because Pearl is like, get rid of this thing. It needs to be contained. And then Garnet's like, no. Let Steven have his pet or whatever.
Yeah. And
you can actually see that the Centipedal... Like, it doesn't want to hurt Steven... per se. Like, it seems...
Yeah, only when it sees the gems does it get super defensive.
Yeah. It seems to be okay with Steven, but when it's around the gems, it does get, like, it starts acting really weird, and it doesn't, like, it... Though there is that one part where it starts freaking out, and, I can't remember exactly what the sequence of events was, but it tries to defend Steven. But because the gems are already so defensive about it, the Centipedal ends up getting hurt or something.
Yeah.
And that was really sad. And that was also, like, when, as you said, when you started noticing, okay, there's something more.
There's something more to it, yeah.
Very, very Madoka-esque. Which, if you've never seen that anime, don't get turned off by the fact that it's a magical girl anime.
That's how it starts. It's like, oh, look how cute we are. Oh.
3 episodes in, it's like, oh.
Yeah.
Oh, this is not what I signed up for. Madoka is to magical girl anime as Evangelion is to mecha anime. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, pretty much.
And then an indirect kiss.
Yeah, this is where we find out that Steven has healing powers.
Yes.
But where his mom cries, it's in his spit.
Yeah.
And I guess the reason why it's called an indirect kiss is because, like he was drinking soda, and then
It was
Connie
a juice
drank
box, yeah.
juice box, and then Connie drank the juice box, and then obviously her eyes healed. Yeah, so,
And so he's
going to kiss a lot of ladies.
Or maybe only one.
No, he's got to kiss all the ladies so he can heal them.
Oh, okay. Well, that's going to make Connie really upset. I can tell this is going to be a thing.
Steven's going to be a player. He's not going to be a player.
I don't see Steven as a player.
No, not at all.
Okay, but yeah, he tells... and this
like, he'll stick to the ability like where he licks his hands and touches or something.
Yeah, and so then also... this is where Connie starts to get really interested in Steven's world and, oh, tell me more about the crystal gems kind of thing. It was a really cute episode. And then I guess this would be the mid-season finale.
Well, I mean, it's episode 25 and 26, right? So that's pretty much...
well, the next...
Well, considering, though, that they are 30... Like, it's...
They're only, like...
That's actually 13 episodes.
Yeah.
Because each episode's like 10, 11 minutes long. So if you have to put them, it's not a 22-minute long length of a full episode. So the way it works here, it's not like it's episode 1, part 1 and 2. This is episode 1, 2, 3, 4, up until now. So from normal length, this is actually episode 13. Mary Jim part 1 and part 2 being episode 13 A and B. But it's listed here as episode 25 and 26. So 26 would actually be a season, usually, 24, 26. But I think the way you mentioned it, like halfway season. So a halfway finale, which is I think where we're going to cut it. This is where you find that mirror gem, which turns out to be lapis lazuli. Lapis lazuli, or I don't even remember. But yeah, so Steven makes friends with this mirror that was supposed to tell him the history because it remembers everything it sees. It starts communicating with him with like little snippets of him talking. So for example, he drops something or whatever, and he's like, no. And then he whenever he asks her a question, where the answer is no, she uses that loop. Yeah. And then she starts the mirror will cut up different things oh, Steven is my friend, type thing. And then so Steven can't be alive, which makes me wonder then, because obviously Lapis gets out of the mirror. Oh, and this is where Steven smacks Garnet, hits Garnet's glasses off of her. And this is also the first time we actually see Garnet get mad. Yeah, she was super angry at Steven. Which is... And she even says I'm something along the lines of I'm going to punish that boy. Yeah. Which is what? You've never seen Garnet say something like that or even react that way. Yeah, because she's even when Steven does something that makes, for instance, Pearl get really mad or frustrates her, Garnet's just meh. So the fact that Garnet was the one that got mad is very much oh boy, he messed up. Yeah, but I mean, it's not he messed up though, because because it's a living being inside this mirror, right? To Steven, even if it was an artificial intelligence, to him it's alive. Yeah, he has that sympathy or empathy for it, where he's I got to keep this thing from getting killed. It should be allowed to live. It's right. And then he finds out that it's Lapis, and then Lapis tries to escape, using the world's ocean to build a pyramid to the top of to space, and even that doesn't get her out, right? Yeah, she's attempting to go back home, isn't she? Yeah. But there's and she's angry at the gems because the other gems Amethyst, Garnet, and Pearl they don't want to apparently go back home. Though we find out later that's not necessarily true. But yeah, the gems apparently fell in love with Earth and wanted to stay on Earth. Now I don't know if that means that they decided okay, we have to all stay here on Earth and do it, or if there's a bit more to the history, did they accidentally unleash something, or did they crash land on Earth and a lot of the gems quote unquote died, had their gems cracked, and that's why they became corrupted. And then why weren't they able to heal? Why is Steven able to heal a corrupted gem, but Rose wasn't able to? I have a feeling it might have something to do with the fact that he is half human, because it seems to me that the humans have an understanding of the world that, because of their shortened length of time living, they have a different understanding of the world that the gems would. Maybe. I don't know. There's something there, I'm sure. Yeah, the gems definitely don't appreciate life as much as Rose, for example, did. Yeah. and Rose understood the sacrifice of giving her life up to make Steven. Whereas the other gems, I think, come across as like they don't understand why Rose would give herself up to make Steven.
I'm still I'm still trying to figure out, like, why, why do that? Why would you sacrifice yourself for Steven? Like, did she have an underlying example, or she just, maybe she felt as if, okay, my time is up and now this is someone else's turn? I don't know. But
I don't know. I think there is something that they're trying to tell us with this. But as far as it goes, Rose definitely understood life. Like, she saw the moss, right? The moss that came alive and was gross to everybody else, but when you waited just long enough, it would become these beautiful flowers. Or, like, Rose was also, like, I mean, there's a lot of things, like, they're always talking about, like, oh, Rose knew how to tame animals. All these wild whatevers, and, like...
Which would make sense why the lion would be Rose's, and why the lion seems to... Though it doesn't really have affections exactly for Steven, but it definitely seems to appreciate Steven as something.
Yeah.
Like, Lion knows something. It definitely knows something. It doesn't really have the sort of protective instinct that the other gems do, but it does... It's leading to something.
Yeah.
There's definitely a point to Lion other than it's Steven's pet.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so this is pretty much where we come to some sort of seasonal conclusion.
Yeah.
Or at least this is where we're going to end it now.
Yeah, because there's so much information about this show that it does need to be split up into 2 parts.
Yeah.
If we're going to do one season. Because they are really short episodes, but there's so much information packed into every episode.
Yeah. It's full of history and lore. And I'm looking forward to hearing more from the show itself, in the sense of, Pearl mentioned something along the line of, oh yeah, you got to know the history of the gems, and she talks about like the intergalactic space wars and stuff, and I'm like, I want to know about that, but they don't have the information. Like, they don't, like, the mirror that was apparently supposed to have recorded it didn't work. Can she not explain the story to him? Do they have any other way of like showing this stuff? I'm curious to see where that goes.
Yeah. Because we do... The fact that the gems were essentially hiding the fact that, all these beasts that we are battling are actually corrupted gems.
Yeah, because they do say that. They do say, like, okay, well, these are corrupted gems, and we're fighting, and we don't know how to fix them. So we're putting them away in these little orbs, which Steven can apparently do as well. The only 2 people who can do it is Steven and Garnet, who can put the corrupted gems inside a little orb and keep them safe.
Yeah. So I'm excited to see where this goes, because, like I said, I was not very interested in it, but now that when it first premiered, I wasn't that interested in it. But then I think it was actually you, because you kept showing... We used to do the Friday night movies, and we used to show new cartoons, so we'd get Steven Universe episodes.
Yeah.
And that was kind of how I started getting into it, because the more I watched it, the more I realized there's so much to the show that I first realized. And at first everyone was really happy that, it's this story about this little chubby kid who looks up to these 3 women. That's really cool. And that was what everyone on Tumblr was like, yay, this is a thing I want to watch. And
Tumblr is a place that gets easily excitable. I don't think there's a moment on Tumblr when there's not somebody like going completely crazy about something.
That's true.
You're just sitting there and it's like, this is the best thing ever, and it's like...
Or it's the worst thing ever.
Yeah, and you're like... Okay.
It's Satan's butthole, and you should be offended by everything that ever touches this awful thing. And I'm like, what?
I mean, I got excited about Wander Over Yonder.
Oh, yeah.
And I really, really enjoy it. But, like, at the same time, I wasn't, like, gushing to the point where, I don't know. I love the song, I love the animation, it's good times. I do hope it keeps going.
We should watch more Wander Over Yonder episodes, because you missed a ton of them, and there are so many I want to show you, especially the one where there's like a whole Bugs Bunny-ish scene where, like... Oh, I remember, it was the episode where Commander Peepers is trying to figure out a plan to steal a princess, and so one of the suggestions is, why don't you marry the princess? And then Lord Hader's like, oh, but what if it's actually Wander in disguise, and then I'm married to Wander? And it's like, what? So we should do that next.
Okay. Well, we'll hopefully get a Wander review under review done.
Yes. Season 2 has been greenlit. I'm so excited.
Oh, yeah, but I mean that was a while ago.
That was. I don't know if I haven't been keeping up with it because I've been busy with things.
Yeah. Well, I mean, geez, even Gravity Falls is taking forever to just update. It's like we get like one episode a month or something. Yeah. It's like, what is that? Just give us our show, you bastards.
It's like, do you want it to be canceled?
Yeah.
You got it, man. You got it.
You could basically say Disney is foxing this up because this is Firefly all over again. We're just going to put it at awkward times and times that no one watches it. Ha 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 ha.
And then they're gonna, well, I guess the show wasn't interesting enough.
Yeah, we could have made $1 billion, but instead we're not going to make anything.
I'm sad. I really like that show.
Yeah. Oh well. Okay. Well, that's all I really have to say about Steven Universe at this time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking forward to seeing more of it. I don't know if we should give it a rating considering it's not finished yet, but I'll give it an up to now rating. I'll give it a rating out of 5 gems. 5 crystal gems. I give it 1 pearl, 1 amethyst, 1 rose quartz, 1 garnet, and 1 lapis lazuli out of 5 crystal gems.
That's 5 gems out of 5 gems.
But it's 5 different gems.
It doesn't even make any sense.
Yes, I give it pretty much top marks right now because I look forward to the next episode.
I'm a little bit...
I like the music, I like the color, I like the design, I like the story, I like the history. There's nothing about this I don't like.
I'll give it a 3.5, just because, like, as I've said...
What are the 3 gems you choose?
I guess a lapis lazuli, a rose quartz, and an amethyst. And
what's the half one? Half a pearl?
Yeah, half a pearl. Sure.
Okay.
You're making this so confusing.
I know, it's fun. I just believe like number systems are like really whatever. So
is that why you confuse me every time we do a rating?
Yeah, that's why I make a different one.
It's like out of 7, and I'm like, what even, Wesley?
Just choose a random. Like honestly, it's like I can give you a percentage, I can give you whatever. Whatever. My point is, I like the show. I would recommend it. I give it full marks. I give it 2 thumbs up. I give it whatever you need to go and watch it.
I have a feeling I'm going to enjoy the latter part of the season 1, season 2, whatever. I think I'm going to enjoy that part a lot more because now I know more about the show, and I think we're going to see more of the Crystal Gems history. And as much as I like the episodic little funny, the funny random events that occur, I really like it when they touch more into the history about Rose, just characterization and history in general. I'm so excited to see more. You have no idea. I have so many questions, and I have a feeling only half of them are going to be answered.
You heard it here, folks. The show gets Anonymators. Go watch it now. Stamp. Oh,
seriously.
Surus. Animation. Good animation. Good songs. Good characters.
It's actually hand-drawn, because you can actually see sometimes...
Tradigital.
It's tradigital, because you can actually... It looks like it was animated by a CalArt student. Like, that's what it feels like to me. Like, the way the style and the way that it's animated, it feels very... If CalArts did television, kind of. I'll show you what I mean later.
No, I think I could.
Oh, okay. Alright.
Okay, well, that's all I'm going to talk about it for now.
Yep.
If you guys want to drop me an email, tell me how you don't agree with my opinion and what a dumbhead I am. Or if you want to be a nice human being and make suggestions or whatever. Or if you have somebody you think I should interview, if I can get hold of them.
If you know animators... If
you want to talk about animation even, whatever. I don't know. If we can meet up.
Hey, man, if you're an animation buff, we'd love to hear from you. Tell us about animation we've never heard of.
That's a great thing, yeah. Like, make suggestions for shows we should watch.
I'm always up for, like, international cartoons. I love watching cartoons I have to watch subtitles in because they never dubbed it in English. I love watching that stuff because it's like, guys, I gotta tell you about this really weird animation I saw. So if you guys know anything that I might be interested in or you want to talk about, let us know.
Yeah, we'll watch it. We'll talk about it. We'll give you our opinions because our opinions matter.
We're on the internet. Obviously, our opinions matter.
But yeah, no, we just like talking about animation and how it makes us feel. But yeah, if you do, theanonymousanimators@gmail.com. Again, links will be in the YouTube description. The doobly-doo. I'll also put a link to our Tumblr, which I think is anonymators.tumblr.com.
Yep.
And yeah, man, geez, feel free to send a message there too. Whatever. It'll just be nice to hear from people. And hopefully I'll get some more interviews coming soon. I should be interviewing at least 3 new people.
Woohoo!
They've said they'll be willing to be interviewed, but we'll see where that goes.
Yeah, because you know how people are.
And if you want to see Emily's Tumblr, go to...
Do you remember what it is?
The neuroticartist.tumblr.com.
There's no the, but you're
Neuroticartist.tumblr. We'll put it in the doobly-doo if you want to see. Emily's very talented.
Oh,
She just doesn't like sharing her art because, that's how you get art out there, by not sharing it with people.
I'm shy. I do share it. It's just that I don't have many followers. That's all.
Okay, well...
More followers means more page views.
Yes. Alright, everybody. Insert catchphrase here. Have a good day, evening, whatever you're doing.
Yay!